Well...
Really? That much?
No, well, the point of this was we were going to talk about why Soulstorm wasn't at E3.
Okay, that's probably a good thing. So, what was good at E3? Soulstorm wasn't at E3.
I'm not answering that with my question, I'm just changing the question.
Okay.
But it was also good that Oddworld wasn't at E3, because it's not ready.
Yes, I think so.
I think that's fair. So people have been asking, why we announced in 2016, and why we still don't have anything public. And Pete's got the answer.
Well, we do have some things public.
We do have some things public.
Firstly, we have released some things. So there's a title sequence, there's some character portraits, there's been some map paintings, background paintings of locations in the game. We've even disclosed elements of the narrative development through certain augmented reality entertainment entities. So there is some things public, but we haven't shown gameplay.
No, I think that's what people want to see. They want to see screenshots and gameplay.
Yeah, of course, people want to see what the game they'll actually be playing is. And the simple answer to why we haven't shown that, I guess, is because we have massively increased the scope of what it was when we started making it, and it's not ready to show yet. And we don't want to show something, we don't want the first thing that all our fans see of Soulstorm to be less than what we could have it be. So we want to cook it till it's done.
I think it's about timing and making sure that when we do show it, it's the best it can be, but also it's the best time to show it. You know, it's not going to be a Saturday afternoon in November.
Probably not. We won't show it on
just after
15th of July during the World Cup final.
No,
because there might not be many people looking at us.
So you can cross that date off.
So
I'm just going to go through all the days that we will not.
Yeah, it'd be at least for the next few weeks. Right? But I think people are frustrated because we announced the game a long time ago with a release date of last year, which obviously passed, and then the release date changed to next year, 2019.
Yeah, well, and it's not a release date, it's just it's an approximate timescale of when we think it'll be ready.
Right, but it's a year and a half.
Still not committing to it.
It's a year and a half different.
Yeah. So why did we announce it in 2016?
We announced that we were working on Soulstorm in 2016 because we were excited to tell our fans that we had a new game, which was in development.
And also it was a significant period of time since we'd released New and Tasty, and we had done all the new platforms by that point.
Right.
Well, most of the new platforms by that point.
Yeah, mobile wasn't out, was it?
So it was really an effort to say, yes, we have kind of finished this game and we are moving on to the next game. And don't worry, we are still making games and there is something new coming.
Yeah.
And I think at the time that we announced it, we genuinely believed that we would have something within the time frame that we set out. But making games is hard. It's almost impossible to sort of accurately forecast when you start a project when that project will finish in the games industry, and that's something that's borne out by how many other games, I mean AAA games with budgets that are multiple times what ours are, get delayed all the time because it's just impossible to know. Sometimes you get well into development and you think of a cool new feature that would make the game much better, and is it best to put that feature in and delay your date a little bit and come out with a game that ends up being better for it? Or would you rather, we said, well, we can't put that feature in because we said we'd come out in 2017. It's an arbitrary deadline that we don't need to meet, so why would we stress for it?
Self-financed, self-published, we don't have anyone that says we have to meet 2017, thankfully. And the game has changed hugely in the last year and a half.
For the better.
For the better.
Yep.
Significant changes in gameplay, visuals, scope, And it's a much bigger, better game, hopefully, than it could have been had we released last year. I think the mistake might have been putting a date. I think maybe we should have just said we're working on Soulstorm. More information to follow.
Yeah, I think maybe a much more brief announcement might have certainly helped with a lot of the questions that we've had in subsequent 2 years.
But we didn't.
No.
And it's now 2019.
No, it's not. It's still 2018.
The game will be 2019.
Yes. The game will be 2019.
Just to freak you out and lose 9 months of your life. But we're not saying exactly when. But it will be next year. And it'll be better for it.
Why are we not saying exactly when?
Because every time we think of a date, someone announces about 10 games that might release on that date. And I think it's more important to make sure that everything that Lauren wants to get in the game gets into the game.
Yeah. Well, that's I think the principal point in all of this is that the game will come out when the game is what Lorne wants it to be. And it's finished.
Yeah.
And that's all in service of making the best possible game that he can imagine and we can create.
Yeah. But we do understand the frustration.
Yes, and we share the frustration.
Yes, especially Bernice.
We're desperate to show it. Because we just want to show off what the team's been working on, but we also just want to be able to talk about it and not have to talk around it all the time. Especially Bernice.
Especially Bernice. Yeah, I mean, things change, plans change, but we do want to show the game, and as soon as we can, we will. And until then, conferences like E3 are about showing partners and other third parties the sort of things that we're working on, engaging interest and getting feedback.
Yep. Yep. And that's what we've done this E3, alongside some certain business appointments, I think. Is it fair to say? We've met with people who can help with analytics in the game, music in the game, licensing people that can help us with merchandise around the launch of the game. All those things also happen at E3, and that's why we're here. I think there was a little bit maybe of an expectation when people realised that we would have a presence here. There was a little bit of an expectation that we might appear on stage somewhere, and oh my god, I wish we had, and I wish that I really hope that we can get that kind of presence at E3 one day. But that's not always what E3 has to be about, and there's a lot of hard work and a lot of important work that goes on that isn't necessarily just about being in those big presentations that happen in the weekend before E3 starts.
Yeah. I mean, I think had we said we were going to be, then I could really appreciate the frustration, but we didn't. Maybe we left it a little bit late to say we didn't, or we weren't. But people don't watch an E3 conference for one game, at least not our game, I don't think.
I think there was probably very few people tuning into one of those big press conferences.
Especially in
we're
Europe.
looking for
Hopefully
Soulstorm.
you didn't stay up till 2 a.m. to watch something that we're waiting.
But I'm sure there were people that tuned in hoping to see Soulstorm, and that was the one thing they wanted to see. I mean, there's people on our Discord that that's all they want.
So sorry about that.
So,
But it's much better, surely, to have a game that's delayed and it be a much better game than it would have been if...
I don't know whether delayed's the right word.
No,
I know
well,
we've changed the date, but I think more without being PI speaker, it kind of feels like we've just, I was going to say moved it back, but that's the same thing, but more like adjusted.
Yeah, it does feel more like an adjustment than a delay, but that's the word that everybody...
Yeah, I guess if we had pre-orders or a Kickstarter or something that people were bound and have paid, then I really get it.
well, I mean, we've never had a hard deadline for when we want the game to be complete internally. We've always, any date that we've ever given has always been an expectation of when we think we might be able to release the game, rather than when we are going to release the game. So it's not a delay, that's just that our expectation has shifted.
Yeah.
And I understand from the outside looking in that maybe it looks like a delay, maybe people set their, the mistake was talking about dates, perhaps. Maybe we shouldn't have mentioned a date at all.
Yeah, I think that's why we've never talked about features or mechanics apart from what Lauren spoke about at EGX, because everything changes.
And also why we, to be clear, when we changed the date on the website, we changed it quietly and didn't make a big deal out of it, because we don't want that to become a big story. We just want to sort of manage people's expectations alongside our own expectations. Whereas if we'd released a new press release that had said we're putting the game, we're now looking at 2019, then that would have been picked up as a news story by a lot of places and would have looked like a delay.
I think it kind of changes the narrative where some of the things that have been hinted at aren't true. Like there are no major dev issues. I mean,
Nope.
people are working on the game solidly every single day, and progress is always forwards.
Across multiple time zones.
Yes,
so-
about across every hour of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
someone working on Soulstorm.
That's right. And it's never wasted time, and we've never scrapped. I don't think we've ever actually scrapped anything major. I mean, there's been changes to how things work, but I can't think of anything huge that we've scrapped that would have actually changed that date, other than we just want more stuff in there.
Yeah, no, there's been a couple of ideas that were prototyped and decided that maybe they weren't the strongest ideas, and we moved on.
Yeah.
But there's been nothing that has been polished or complete.
How does Lauren? What's Lauren's thing on that? Fail fast.
Fail fast.
Yeah, something like that. Test these things; they don't work, scrap them. But there's not been anything that would constitute development delays. I don't think.
No.
You know, I don't. Stuff's moving forward all the time.
Yep.
Stuff's getting changed all the time.
And it's, I think, important to remember as fans of video games that the people making them have far more invested in them than we do as fans. And that's true for us who are fans of other people's video games. You know, this E3 we saw Crackdown 3 talked about by Microsoft, and that's a game which has also seen its potential release date moved back, and that's a game that I'm super excited about and would love to see. But I'm sure that the people making that game are even more desperate to get it out than I am to see it, because people that make things want other people to experience them.
I think that's all fair. It's hard to be. We can't really talk specifics, and that is frustrating.
Yeah.
We can't say what's been put in and what's changed.
But we genuinely do understand where the community's coming from and their frustrations, and we share those
We
frustrations.
do. We really do. We just all of us three. I don't want to talk for anybody else, but us three really want to show the game. Just because it's new and it's new Oddworld, and everybody that we show it to privately gets really excited.
Yeah, they do.
Even today, when we've met the same people we saw at GDC, and in the last 3 months, there's been significant changes for the better, and they get it, and they like it, and they like what we're doing.